Welcome back to the Superheroes Everyday Podcast. I'm Danny Horn. I'm here with author and playwright Laramie Dean. Laramie, hello.
Hi.
This is Act 2 of the 2006 Lesser of Two Evils, X-Men The Last Stand. The story so far, sometimes when you cage the beast gets angry, and there is so much for him to be angry about right now. For example, there is a magical cure for mutation that's made out of a little boy sitting in a white room. They are putting that boy into needles somehow, and if one of those needles pierces your skin, it rearranges your DNA, and you're not allowed to be in a comic book anymore. In addition to that, there is an evil spirit that has some kind of grudge against water. Professor X has been secretly hiding her inside Jean Grey, and the way you do that is you erect psychic barriers in her mind, and then you stand around and hope that she doesn't go swimming. Now, I don't know what psychic barriers are, and neither do you, but we are both going to have to believe in them for the next little while. So welcome to Act 2
Welcome to Act 2
of Marvel's X-Men The Last Stand.
I feel like if I had been a Marvel fan, I would be really pissed off at this movie, but I'm not, and I wasn't. I think I
Yeah.
was just kind of going along with the crazy of it all. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, and again, I'm just like, oh, this is my gauge when I watched it last week was how interesting is this?
Right.
How often am I checking my phone? How often am I bored?
Right.
And actually it clips along so fast. Like, here we are. Do you have a time for this part of the movie? Is it like the first half hour? Is it the first?
First act is 31 minutes. Act 2 is 40 minutes.
Okay. So here's Jean, and are we gonna talk about Dark Phoenix now?
Let's talk about Dark Phoenix. Yeah.
Okay. So I approached this not knowing a lot about the actual comic book. I bought I don't remember when I bought the Dark Phoenix saga. One of my best friends knew a lot about this, and he filled in the gaps. But I was a Buffy the Vampire Slayer fan, and they did an arc called Dark Willow, which I didn't really understand. I think Andrew, one of the nerd characters on Buffy, makes a reference to, oh, she's all Dark Phoenix up there, but I didn't really get what that meant. For Willow and Buffy the Vampire Slayer, it means that they're embracing some dead lesbian, evil lesbian tropes, and the only happy queer couple on television gets blasted apart because Joss Whedon claims he was always going to do that. Ask Amber Benson how she feels about that. So we have this uber powerful witch. Again, can't give a woman too much power. And she loses her girlfriend and goes crazy. Her eyes turn black. Her hair turns black. She gets veins all over her face. The veins in the black eyes are really going to be important here in a minute. And she goes on a rampage where she wants to murder the murderers, and then she wants to murder
all the friends and
the world. She wants to destroy the world. So
like you do when you're sad.
Like, right, exactly. When you're a woman and you're sad. When you're Doctor Strange, you're just fine. You man up.
Deal with it, right? You nut up.
A woman has to use her powers to be incredibly destructive and must be stopped, must be tamed. So I knew what Dark Willow was, and I was like, well, I want more. So I bought some of the Marvel. I actually bought some of the old comic books from the 80s. There was a DC crossover, a DC Marvel crossover where Dark Phoenix and I don't remember the guy's name who's going to cause some destruction. Darkseid, maybe? I don't know. He and Dark Phoenix team up, and I thought that was interesting. And I love Dark Phoenix. She's a total psycho bitch. She popped into her parents' house, is like, it's me, the Wicked Witch of the West. And I was like, yeah. And so in the comic book, she's okay. Let me see if I can sort this out. She has this telepathy, but she also can mutate matter. They go to space.
So this starts in 1977. Where Jean goes into space and she gets exposed to a radiation from a solar flare, and that turns her into a being of pure thought. She comes back to Earth. She calls herself Phoenix,
and she's
very powerful. She gets a fun new costume, but she erects some of her own barriers. So this is a thing that she does to herself. That she puts up barriers in her brain to restrain her own power. Which is
bothers me less.
It absolutely bothers me a lot less.
If she's like, I'm going to do this for myself because I know that I've got this problem, but I can try to control myself. But of course, it can't be controlled. But then she gets like kidnapped and brainwashed by.
So it's several years later, like in 1980, the Hellfire Club kind of brainwashed her. She gets manipulated by Mastermind and his illusions, and so she becomes part of the Hellfire Club. She becomes a bad guy.
Scary face. Like, look at the scary Phoenix face.
She has a very scary face.
That one? Holy crap.
Yeah.
It's terrifying.
And so she's getting into doing bad things, and then she sees Mastermind hurting Cyclops, and it kind of shocks her, and it takes her out of her illusions, but she's real pissed, and she removes the restraints on her power. And now she's calling herself Dark Phoenix. She
Oh
beats
yeah.
up all the X-Men. Yeah, she's scary as hell. And then she travels to a distant galaxy, and she destroys a whole planet full of people.
She eats a planet of people. They do
Yeah.
that in this movie. She melts a couple of people. She disintegrates a couple of people. Well, one important person here in a minute.
Yeah.
But she doesn't commit
Commit
genocide.
genocide. Yeah. So here's my problem with the Dark Phoenix saga and trying to make a movie of it, which you cannot and should not do. We have proven this. And the
They
reason why,
failed the second time. They
yeah,
fail.
the
Yeah.
reason why, like, people like the Dark Phoenix saga because it was a great story. In 1980, it was a great story, but it wasn't great because like a character turned evil and killed people. It was a great story because it happened at a time when literally that never happened before.
Mhm.
And it's like issue 129, and you don't have main characters like this turning evil and die. And she'd been in the book since issue 1, so this is
She's
like a,
beloved, right?
yeah,
Marvel Girl was beloved.
yeah, it's a character who has been running for like almost 2 decades at that point. And so she turns into Dark Phoenix and starts doing bad things. And you're doing this month by month in the comic book. And the fans are thinking, well, obviously we know what what's going to happen. You have the expectations, like you're going to turn her back into herself, and we're just going to move on because that's what happens in a book like this. And then she goes and destroys a whole planet full of people, which is irredeemable.
Yeah.
But still, you're like, okay, but they're gonna bring her back, and it's gonna be like everyone expects this is gonna be okay. And when they basically say like, screw you and your expectations and what you actually want out of this, no, she's gonna have to be she is actually evil and she's gonna have to be destroyed. It broke the rules of like how this book has worked, how this whole genre has worked. It was like this end of innocence story, and so that's why everyone remembers it, and it's a big deal. And so when you say, okay, we want to write a story, like, oh, let's take like the excitement of that story. The problem is we are not in that context anymore.
Right.
Like that happened, and in some ways it's like with soap operas, like that story won. It broke kind of what the rules were, and so now comics work more like that now. Like now that's a possibility, it's a thing that we know. And so this isn't actually impactful in that way.
Mm.
Like in this movie, it's, the whole thing was like, oh my God, I can't believe you turned Jean Grey evil and killed her. But in this movie, people die all of the time. Well, 2019, they did this again. They do the
Right.
second Dark Phoenix movie. And
I
it
didn't
is,
see it. Have you seen it?
yes, it's not good. And it's not good for exactly the same reason. This
Yeah.
is not actually like when you take a look at it, woman gets powerful, turns evil, does stuff that nobody likes, and then she has to be killed. That's basically the whole story,
Mm-hmm.
as far as this movie is concerned, and as far as the other movie is concerned. That's not a very interesting story, as it turns out. It's only interesting in the context of, oh my God, I can't believe they're doing this. I can't believe they're gonna make a good character irredeemable. I can't believe that they're gonna kill a beloved character. But they've just killed a beloved character. They're
Right.
about to kill two more beloved characters within another like 20 minutes.
Right.
And so we don't
So
need
why
an
should we
end of
care?
innocence
Why should
story.
we?
Yeah,
Yeah. Why should we
exactly. It just
care?
doesn't have that impact. And the reason that people loved it was a total surprise. It was like the end of innocence, but there isn't really, it feels now like we've seen stuff like this before.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks to Dark Phoenix.
Mm-hmm. But people love that. I mean, this is the Dark Shadows fan community saying, "Let's remake Dark Shadows. Let's remake Dark
Yeah.
Shadows.
Yeah.
Dark Shadows." And every time it
It
fails
fails because
miserably because you can't
the point
recapture
of
that.
it is the whole point of Dark Shadows is surprise.
Right. And this is pop culture cannibalism, which I love.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm going to say I made that term up. I'm coining that term, pop cultural cannibalism,
Copyright
where
guarantee.
TM,
Mm-hmm.
where Marvel does it in 1980, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and then because Joss Whedon and his group of happy nerds were such comic book geeks,
Yeah.
they cannibalized it. I mean, they lampshaded it too. They're like, "Oh, we're going to mention Dark Phoenix a
Yeah.
ton," and so people will get we're not just stealing it.
Mm-hmm.
So they totally were stealing it. we're gonna lampshade and say, no, we do, we knew this all
Well,
along.
and
And
then
then
at that point you call it influence.
right,
Yeah.
homage. It's an
Yeah.
homage to. And
Right.
then in this movie, so is where are we? Has Jean escaped yet? She hasn't. She hasn't.
She's
We're
about to. Yeah.
about to, yeah. So Wolverine like hisses her awake, or right.
Hmm.
The professor's put her down, and
Yeah.
Wolverine, and she's very sexual and very animal and
Hmm.
growly and angry. She's got all that rage he's talked about.
Yeah.
Um,
And he kind of he brings her to life like an evil Snow White, awakened by love's true kiss.
but she's all those barriers are down,
Yeah.
so she just
Yeah,
wants
they
sex.
start making out, and yeah, it takes the shirt off, and I am generally in favor of that kind of thing. That's what I
I
want in my
wasn't mad
superhero
about
movie.
it.
Yeah,
Wasn't
no, I
mad about
know,
it.
but they're playing it as creepy more than sexy.
Well, she's predatory, and she can. It's interesting with Wolverine because he's impenetrable, right? Like
Hmm.
she can scratch his back and he will heal right up. So in theory, they're
In theory, it's fine.
physically
Yeah,
physically they're perfect for each other.
yeah, but she's kind of like putting her legs around him, like she's trying to cage him.
Hmm.
Yeah, it doesn't feel super sexy, and he figures that out, and he tells her like, okay, this isn't you. Like maybe you ought to take it easy. There is kind of like the uncomfortable thing that I just saw this in your eyes, and I kind of like you just did a little eye roll. I kind of do as well. Of like you're being sexual, therefore this isn't you.
Well, she's treating him like men treat women, and he doesn't like it.
Yes. Yeah.
He doesn't
Yeah.
like to be manhandled or
Yeah.
Phoenix handled.
And that's when he figures out, like he says, like, where's Scott? And now
Oh, right, we forgot all
it's
about it.
done.
Oh,
Yeah.
Scott, we forgot all about Scott. Poor
Yeah, we've had
Scott.
a whole conversations where we haven't even wondered.
Bobbing along.
Yeah. And Wolverine pulls the glasses out of his pocket. He's like, oh right, I have this. Then there's a problem. Jean has a little flashback. She's kind of shocked by that. And things around her, this is the thing that I think is funny, is that like when she's having feelings, stuff just kind of vibrates and screws around. And we actually see like screws unscrewing from a table for no particular reason. And then she asks him to kill her,
Oh, right.
which is where she's like, kill me before I kill someone else. And
That'd be
then,
so hot.
yeah, she just like breaks more stuff. And he's like, the professor can help. He can fix it. And she goes, I don't want to fix it. Like the exorcist, like her demon voice comes out. I mean, so here's my question is like, what is appealing about Jean Grey at this point?
She's a good guy, and I think good guys are often boring. And I think that to watch her when she starts to snarl a little bit,
Mhm.
that's when I'm like, oh, get it,
Right.
Jean. Get it,
Yeah.
right? And she's kind of embracing this power, but of course, it's not for any positive reason. She's going to go stomping around like Godzilla and
Yeah.
head home. Did she kill her parents? Are her parents there? I feel like her parents aren't there.
We do not see her parents.
Oh, for God's sake.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So who knows?
forgotten, lost
Yeah.
in a draft. Lost in a draft. So I think she's appealing because she's powerful, and I love to see that. I just wish that they hadn't. I don't know.
Yeah.
She didn't eat an entire planet of people, guys.
She's fine. Leave her alone.
Fine.
All she's doing is unscrewing some. Oh, she killed Cyclops, I guess.
She killed Scott. She killed
Yeah.
Scott.
All right.
I mean,
Fair enough.
maybe but did she just? Did she just? Well, we see she can dissolve people.
Dissolve people. Yeah. She can Thanos
Dusted
people.
in.
Yeah.
But why? Was the Phoenix like hungry? Did she
It's
absorb
just
life
it
force?
feels to me like bad guy. She's bad
Yeah.
guy, and therefore she's
And
gonna do
that's
bad
boring
things.
then.
Yeah.
I
This
need
is
some
what
kind
I'm
of-
saying. This is what I'm saying. Is that like I don't feel like that we get enough like audience pleasure out of her
right.
in this.
Well, she doesn't in the
Because-
comics. She's so sassy, right?
Yeah.
You and I are quits now, X-Men. Our paths will cross no more. My destiny lies with the stars. I'd love to perform that. She didn't get to perform it. Poor Famke Chance.
Yeah. How about Angel? Let's talk about Angel for a little minute.
Angel's hot.
Yeah, little.
Who is it? Ben Barnes? Is that who? No, who plays him? I'm wrong.
Oh, I have no idea.
And I don't know. 2006 me was all about Angel. Angel blonde. Angel was like sensitive. He just needed help. He just wanted to pet him, and to show his powers, he had to be shirtless a lot. So
yeah,
I was
yeah,
also not opposed. Well, not I was not opposed to that.
Yeah.
This is very queer camp. This is very like
Mhm.
we're gonna take you off and experiment on you and suck out your gayness.
Yeah.
And he's playing it kind of that way, whoever he is. He's kind of playing it that way too. Like I'm so
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, so they take him,
mm.
they're gonna strap him down and
So
shoot
S
him
and
up.
M. The
He's
whole
gonna
thing with
be
him is S&M.
it's he's Worthington's son. He's gonna be the first one to get the shot. And yeah, and he takes off his shirt and he's got his wings tied up and they strap him down. And my question is, are they gonna do that with everybody? Because that feels extreme just
Plus,
to
that's a
get
lot.
an
That's a
injection.
lot of people to.
I mean, when I got my COVID vaccine, they did have to strap me down and they put a GIMP mask over my face. I had to go to the BDSM clinic to get my vaccine, not because I'm into it. It's just that's the clinic that's closest to my house.
It was the easiest. It was the easiest solution at the time.
I'm not going to walk an extra 10 blocks just to go to the vanilla health clinic. So I can identify for sure.
Ben Foster.
Ben
So it was a
Foster.
guy named Ben. Who the hell is Ben Foster?
He's not an amazing actor, I think, is what I get out of this movie.
He
He
doesn't
doesn't
have
do a
a
lot.
whole ton to do either. I mean,
Yeah.
he doesn't get a chance to do anything.
Well, so here comes a needle coming towards him, and this is one of those needles that like plays ominous music the closer it gets.
Big
And,
phallic needle.
yeah, and he's like, "Wait, I can't do this." And then he flexes and he breaks out of the straps. His wings are enormous. Like the wingspan on this kid is incredible and they're gorgeous. And so there he is, revealed as gorgeous angel. And his dad is like, "No, Warren, this is a better life. It's what we all want." He says, "No, it's what you want." And then he crashes through the window and flies away.
Script for this is not good.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty basic.
Not good. I like that. I think it's fun. It's fun
It
to
is
have a
it's a fun scene.
decorative
Yeah.
hot dude flying around. I'm never gonna complain
Yeah.
about that. And I remember at the time being like, yeah.
Yeah, I could dig this. Yeah.
Does he
He does not do very much.
no
He
again
shows up. He's in a couple more scenes. Yeah.
he saves somebody later and I can't even remember who it
Saves his
is.
dad. That's
Oh,
it. Yeah, it's pathetic. Yeah.
that could be cut out. They probably should have done, and I had read about this, either just the Cure or just Dark Phoenix. And they probably should have just
Yes.
done the
They should
Cure.
they should have done the Cure. Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of interesting stuff going on. It raises interesting questions
Much
that are
more
fun to play with.
more.
The
Yeah.
politics and the social, culture stuff. There's a lot more going on with the Cure storyline, but because it's kind of gets attached to the Dark Phoenix thing, neither of them really kind of get the
That almost could have worked too, because it's interesting to think what, and I wonder if audiences were thinking, oh, are they someone gonna stab Jean with a needle? I'm assuming it would have the same effect on her. I
mean, this just, but yeah, no, this does seem to be like a completely magic cure where all it has to do is like graze your skin and you're done forever. Well, here's the big Mystique rescue.
Oh, hurts
which
me.
is
I forgot
fun.
about this.
Yeah.
I forgot about this.
Yeah. So it starts real well. It starts Magneto is standing in the middle of a road. She's being transported somewhere. I'm not sure why. In her little transport jail cell. And Magneto is just standing there in the middle of the road, just like crushing cars and killing a truck. And super fun. And so like the little cell that Mystique is in and that apparently other people are in falls off the truck. And so Mystique, the mean guard who was slightly snappish to her earlier, who made the terrible mistake of sassing back for a second,
gets his just desserts.
His neck snapped with
it's
her
what I call
legs.
It's what I call movie karma, because I don't believe in karma in real life, but movie karma is strong.
It really is, and you don't really have to do very much. This was a human man with feelings and a family.
Yeah.
But because he was a little bit snappy to somebody in a jail cell, that means he gets his neck broken. We don't have to worry about him at all. But it is so much fun to watch her like lift up her legs and just like snaps his neck with her legs.
She trapeze artists him to death.
And then she uses her toes to get the keys out of his pocket. And then she just lifts her foot all the way up to her hand. And I'm like, I love you, Mystique. You're amazing. Look at what you're doing.
Look at hate you. You're so beautiful.
She's great. And so then what happens to her is such a goddamn tragedy.
Crushing, I know. And I forgot about that plot point. I actually, this is another thing I thought she was in the movie more. Listen, I've seen all three of these. I've seen this one probably twice. I've seen X-Men 2 maybe 3 times, and I think I saw the first one once.
Yeah.
But I remembered her being much more pivotal and in many more scenes, and really she's only in like 3 scenes.
In the other movies, she is in a lot.
But in
especially in this, so we find another couple dudes. There's a couple of other people who are locked up behind doors that we didn't know about. And so Magneto and Pyro come in, and they release one of them, and it's Eric Dane as multiple man, as James Madrox. Yeah, who can he turns into 7 people. He does not have much of a character. Basically, they're like, "Hey, you want to join us?" And he's like, "I'm in." And then that's practically the only thing that he does. A couple of clips. Yeah. And then they pull another door off, and there is Juggernaut.
I do not like this guy. I don't like the character. I don't like the actor. I can't really tell you why. I just was like, ugh, I don't know.
I like him because he was in Gallivant. I don't know if you saw Gallivant, the musical sitcom. It's really fun. Oh. That was great. And he's in it, and he's really good. And then a guard wakes up. And so here's the bad moment. Here, I think, is one of the worst moments in the movie. The guard gets up and shoots a needle at Magneto, and Mystique sees it, and she jumps in the way, tragically jumps in the way, and it smacks her. She falls to the floor and instantly turns into a naked Rebecca Romaine. And Magneto just looks at her, and he says, "You saved me." And then he just turns away, and he says, "I'm sorry, my dear, you're not one of us anymore."
No, you're one of them.
Which is what? This is a huge idiotic waste of a character. Besides the upsettingness about the betrayal in that moment, which is not set up.
No, I was going to ask what you thought about that. Does that make sense character-wise?
No. Yeah. She was his second in command. They have been pals.
And then he says, "She was so beautiful."
Yeah, she's so beautiful. Oh my God, no! Your connection to her,
diminishing. Yeah,
his connection to her was not because of her looks. His connection was she's a fucking secret agent with a black belt. She can go and do anything.
And why would you just assume that this is permanent
and just walk away?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know. If I'm applying real world scientific parameters, I would have one of my evil scientist people
right actually look at her for a hot second.
Is this reversible? This has got. I mean, just the fact that
that's a really good point. Yeah.
Beast turns human and then turns blue and furry again would suggest to me that this is maybe not as permanent as you think it is, even if you're injecting Jimmy juice into people. They could have thought this through. Well, how much time did they have for this movie? Like a year?
I feel like yeah, that's true. But I feel like it is you look at your good characters, you say, what are the good characters that we have in this movie? And Multiple Man is not a great character. Juggernaut is not a good, that's who she just got replaced by. And we're not going to have any of the fun of hanging out with Mystique anymore.
Wouldn't it be great if she was in the climax? I mean, fighting Dark Phoenix? Wouldn't
it be great if she was the main character of the entire movie? Yeah. Yeah. She's the one, especially with the 3 scenes that she has in this movie, where in every single one, she fucking kicks ass and she's sassy and amazing. Yep. And then she's just gone.
Yep.
And so this, I feel like this is where it really becomes clear. The movie only cares about the plot, that characters are not important, because we can just leave. We care about Mystique, and she is left naked and alone and utterly helpless. And we have stopped caring. And this is 10 minutes after killing Scott.
Well, I was gonna say, and then what happens? Then do we go to the gray house?
Yeah, this is now. This is number 2 of 3 very upsetting,
shocking
erasers. Yeah,
this was shocking to me when I saw this scene originally. So, Magneto and his team and Xavier and his team have gone to find Jean, right? And she's sitting in her house, vibrating.
And they have left Juggernaut and Callisto and Porcupine Boy on one side, and then there's like Storm and Wolverine, and they are left out of the house. And Jean is sitting in her little haunted house. And Xavier and
Vibrating
Magneto
alone.
both go in. Yeah, everything is kind of like twitching and she's hard on the furniture, this one.
Jean is why we can't have nice things.
Yeah.
She does not get good dialogue either. Like, I mean,
No, she does not.
The dialogue in the comic books is terrible. I'm sorry, Marvel fans. It's very
I mean,
dramatic,
it's that
but it's
heightened, it's
fun.
the heightened comic
Yes,
book dialogue.
it is, and it's fun. Like, I love, I love to quote this. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
When Jean goes to her house and her parents are like, "Who are you?" And she's like, "Would you believe it's me, the Wicked Witch of the West?" I mean, that's funny.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah.
Jean in the movie doesn't get to be funny.
No, she doesn't. Yeah.
And that's, I know you know that's problematic.
It is absolutely problematic. Yeah.
She doesn't get to make
She
a
doesn't have a
joke.
single joke. Yeah.
She
No,
doesn't
she doesn't
make
have a single joke in the
friends.
whole thing. Nope.
She I
Yeah,
don't know if she makes plot
let's
points happen. I think she's manipulated the whole movie.
she is a plot point, but
Yeah.
but the three steps to making a character likable for the audience: you make a friend, you make a joke, and you make a plot point happen.
Mhm.
Make something happen that moves the plot along. And
The key word is make. You aren't a plot point. You cause plot points to
happen. And she actually, except for the thing that she's about to do that nobody wants her to do. But yeah, she doesn't have friends in this movie. She was close to Cyclops. She was close to Wolverine. She does not become close to Magneto in this. Magneto is just like, she's just following him around. And we have just learned, and this, unfortunately, like, I think the Mystique thing, it kills some of our interest in Magneto as well, because now we find out that Magneto doesn't care about somebody who obviously is his friend.
Yeah.
Like, that was what made both, Magneto and Mystique in the second movie made them a lot more likable, was that they had each other. And whenever something happened, they would kind of like nudge each other and giggle. And that was fun to watch. And now it's clear that like he doesn't actually give a shit about any of these.
Well, they had to, there's too much happening in this movie. There's too many characters. They have to do these shortcuts. They need someone to turn against Magneto, and so that's the easiest way they could think of to do it, or I would say the laziest way to think of to do it. It's too hard otherwise to think of.
But this is making Jean not super likable. She makes zero jokes. She doesn't make any friends. And yeah, you're right. And then the plot point that she creates is that she vibrates Charles to death.
Yes, she surely
His
does.
Sales pitch, to be fair, his sales pitch is not good. He says, you have a home and a family. And she says, well, you want to control me. And his answer is no, I want to help you. Not a good sales pitch.
Why didn't you come dig me out of the lake, dummy? Like, I was there the whole time.
Yeah, she hardly says anything. She says, like, help me. What's wrong with me? I wrote down this dialogue because I think it's terrible. And Magneto says, absolutely nothing. And he says, Charles, not this time. You've always held her back. And Charles says, for your own good, Jean.
No,
and her response is, stay out of my head. Yeah, there's really not a single line in here, given the moment that is happening. There's not a single line here that's actually a surprise. And that's a problem. And then she throws a lamp across the room, which pretty much confirms Xavier's point about how dangerous she is. Somebody paid good money for that lamp.
And again, I say, where are her parents? Did she vaporize her parents too?
Apparently she did.
We don't have time.
We don't Is that what she sounds like to you?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
That's Jean Grey. That's boring. Dark Phoenix is born like this.
Stay out of my head, Charles. There's nothing wrong with me. You're just afraid of my powers. Okay, I'm sorry. It's the worst possible. That's the worst possible imitation of anything. Not yours, mine.
Mine is not good. Famke Janssen deserved better. So there's this face off between.
Yeah. So he says, characters. Yeah, you killed Scott, and this does not have good outcomes. And yeah, so outside, Wolverine wants to go in, and so they have to fight Juggernaut and Callisto and what's her name and Porcupine Head.
I do like Callisto a lot. I'm just gonna say it again. She's
Tell
pretty
me,
cool.
tell me why you like, because I'm not crazy about Callisto.
Oh, I just think she just seems like very self-possessed. The actor
Mm,
seems to know. I mean, she's one note like anybody else in
yeah,
this movie.
yeah,
She can do the one thing, and she hates Storm for some reason that we never really find out why she hates Storm so much.
yeah,
Because they fight all the time, and she decides to take it upon herself later to like beat the hell out of Storm. I
yeah.
like the actor. I like how her hair looks. I told you I'm a hair person. I like how her hair
Does
looks.
have good hair.
And she well, yeah, she's a couple of powers, doesn't she? She can move really fast, but she also can tell
That
like
there's where the mutants are, yeah, and what
where
their
are they
powers
and
are.
how powerful are they? And I dig that about her too. Like I
Yeah,
think that's
yeah.
so.
That
I
she
don't know.
can
I just
walk
think
into a room and kind of size everybody up. Yeah,
yeah, she's a
she's
strong
fun. She's more
she's a
fun than
strong woman. I like
yeah.
strong women. Again, I wish Hand Lady had done more than just stand there and look angry, but there's no time for Hand
No
Lady.
time for hand lady.
Zappo girl. I don't know what you call her.
They could have used Colossus in this fight, I feel. I don't know why they didn't bring him. I like looking at Colossus and
So this big fight is happening.
Mhm.
Suburbia is going down. This is the
Yeah,
fear. This is everyone's fear
the
of
suburban right.
gonna come and
This is
destroy
gonna
suburbia.
this is the housing prices are gonna drop significantly after this.
Oh, that's why the Amityville horror is so scary, right? Is that you're a
It's all
young
about
poor
real
family with
estate.
multiple kids. It is. It's all about real estate. You sink all this money into this fucking house that is gonna like
Yeah.
has pig ghosts and it's gonna dissolve and spit gunk at you. Yeah. So the poor people of wherever Jane Grey's folks used to live,
Yeah.
it's all destroyed again. Well, who knows what she was like when she was a kid? She definitely like ruined all their cars that time.
Yeah,
So
and lawnmower and stuff. Yeah. Then Xavier is being held up by I was just gonna say by his ankles, and that would have been
the
so much
scruff
more
of his
fun.
neck.
No, he's just yeah, he's picked up by the scruff of his neck, and his face is getting all woogly, and Jean is all red and terrible. She has huge black eyes, and like
Here's the Dark Willow part. And I remember the first time
yeah,
I saw this, I was still so into that I was really excited. I think that's why I liked this at the time where I was
it,
like, Dark Willow 2, the darkening or
and everything's
yeah, she
floating,
gets
and it's
black eyes, and that's not in the comic book at all. The black eyes and the veins is
that's a scary thing.
straight
Yeah,
out of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, straight
yeah,
out. But
and
it's a nice visual signifier though that she's the Phoenix, I guess. I would say that was a nice like she's
yeah,
not just now
I just
she's
think she
they
looks
they
yeah.
can't do the costume. They can't do the costume
They could do
switch. They've
flames.
decided they could.
They could have done
That seems like
flames,
that
and
would have
that
been
I
an
would
easier thing to
prefer that.
do. That
Yeah,
would make more sense.
because you could just like the CGI, like CGI flames, you can pretty much. That was not a mystery by
Why are we
2006.
asking for sense in this movie at this
I
point?
don't know.
Though?
You know what we're asking for taste, and I
Oh.
don't feel like we're getting it. But everything besides Magneto kind of floats up to the ceiling, so we see Wolverine inside, and he's like trying to crawl across on the ceiling. And Magneto just stays on on the kitchen floor because you're not fucking with Ian McKellen like that. He's not going to have that. He is too old and too famous. He's
He's like,
just
you are
like
lucky I'm in this movie at all.
exactly. He's like, I'll be fucked if you get me up on wires. Fuck that. Here's the terrible. Here is Thanos snapping his finger and erasing Professor Xavier, another main character dying. So Scott gets killed at minute 27. Mystique gets cured at minute 37. Xavier is killed at minute 50. It is less than half an hour.
Wow.
Get rid of all three of those characters. And those are good characters who like do stuff that moves the plot forward.
Yeah.
And the thing that's crazy is this doesn't actually move the plot forward at all. This is just removing pieces from the board.
It's to prove that
How bad
I
she
mean,
is.
yeah, it's to prove that she's bad. She can't eat a planet, so she's going to
Yeah.
kill her mentor, father figure.
Yep.
But I mean, I don't know. That happens. That happens in. But I mean,
That's happened for you.
no,
Yeah,
that's a step.
you're having a bad day. You're going through some kind of like turning point in your life, and you have to murder
kill
your
your father
mentor. Yeah,
figure. That's
yeah.
the that's
In order to do that,
that's one of the steps on the hero's journey, though, right? The you have to kill
murder a guy in a wheelchair. I don't believe that's the case. No.
Usually it's metaphorical.
No, I don't think you do that. I think no, Jean's just and there's really like there's very little point to it, and it's just like I'm pissed off because I am.
Well, they never explain why she's killing people. Is she killing people because she can? She doesn't talk.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That is absolutely a problem. Yeah.
She doesn't talk. We
Here,
don't know.
actually, I guess like she does have kind of a grudge. This Phoenix does have a grudge against Charles because he kept her locked up.
They don't tell you why she calls herself the Phoenix either. It just seems like that was, since they're translating this from the comics where she was the Phoenix in the comics. They
Right.
don't get, they just, it called itself the Phoenix. And I remember watching this the first time and thinking, well, why?
Yeah.
Nothing about it is Phoenixy. There's
Well, the
no,
Phoenix thing is like it's because like she dies and then she
yeah,
comes back.
yeah.
And so
It's
therefore she's the
it's this
Phoenix.
life force. Yeah,
Right. But you're right. Charles says like way at the beginning that like
it called
before
itself
the
the
whole it
Phoenix.
called itself the Phoenix, and there's no reason for that at all. You're right.
Unless it. I mean,
No,
maybe that's
no.
how she survived. I know.
Yeah,
I don't
no,
know.
there's just like you're absolutely right. Like there's just no it doesn't actually mean anything. It's just that she's called that in the
The
comics
comics, so they want
because
to
it makes sense in the comics. Yeah.
justify the Dark Phoenix thing too.
Yep.
So Charles gets blown to pieces.
And then
He's okay with it. He's pretty zen about it because he has a plan. He has a plan.
he does have a plan that doesn't make a shit ton of sense, but so now we have to have a funeral,
Oh yes,
which is
yes.
great.
Is
There's
it
a
just for Professor X or for Scott too?
this one is just for Professor X. We see a Scott thing later, but no, yeah, we don't have a big funeral for Scott. It's like fuck Scott.
Fuck you! You went off to Superman Returns. Fuck you, dude. Who was
Yeah,
he in Superman Returns? I saw that, but I don't remember anything about
he
it.
was James Marsden.
Well,
He was the guy. He was the guy who looks like James Marsden. Everyone's dead. Yeah, and so they have a memorial stone. It is not easy to bury a guy who's been dispersed. Hard to say.
picking the ashes out of the air.
Yeah.
This could be him.
We live in an age of darkness, it turns out, a world full of fear, hate, and intolerance, but in every age there are those who fight against it. He sounds good when you talk about it like this. His memorial stone says father, teacher, leader, which is one way of putting it, I suppose. Manipulator, fucking crazy man, coward hiding in his school. He was more than a leader, more than a teacher. He was a friend. When we were afraid, he gave us strength. When we were alone, he gave us a family. When we disagreed with him, he gave us a lobotomy. That is how we deal with Charles Xavier. And then little Bobby Drake, he's sitting there at the funeral and he's holding Rogue's hand on one side and Kitty Pryde is on his other side and he holds her hand too.
Was
Bobby.
Elliot Page in the second movie, or is Elliot Page a totally new character that I'm supposed to know about?
There was someone who was Kitty who you saw for like a second in the second movie, but
Oh,
it was not Elliot Page. It was just like some rando
okay. I
who
thought
like
maybe I was
ran
missing
through the
something.
door.
They had to set up this love triangle.
Yeah. Oh, and then so here's the love triangle moment, which is so bizarre, where like Kitty's in a room with the door closed. She's lying on her bed and crying because people that she knows have died. And Bobby just like opens up the door, comes all the way inside, sits on her bed, and tells her not to feel that way. And he decides, cool, like, you know what? This is a great opportunity to take this wounded girl on a date.
Well, this is very in keeping with a lot of the thematic stuff we've seen so far. It's another man
Absolutely.
telling a woman, "Don't feel this way. It's okay.
We're all
It's okay."
feeling the same way. And she says she misses home and the first snow. I don't know where maybe she's from Alaska or something, but this is upstate New York. You're gonna have snow.
I was gonna say, just go to Buffalo. You'll be fine.
Yeah, wait a hot second. There will be snow eventually. But no, he takes her outside and goes to like the little fountain and he freezes it and he makes a little ice rink and they skate around and they're being all romantic, holding hands on a huge white circle, which is an extremely visible place to obviously cheat on your girlfriend who also lives here
And could kill you if she wanted to.
and could kill all of you.
And the way that the women are presented in this movie, she just might.
And well, she goes and does the opposite. It's because the next thing we see, she's going to commit suicide. She talks to Wolverine and she's like, I'm gonna go get the cure.
And he's not going to stop her. And
Nope.
she's like, shouldn't you try to stop me? And he's like, oh, you do what you want.
She says,
I'm not your father.
She says, you don't know what it's like to be afraid of your powers, afraid to get close to anyone. And he says, yeah, I do. So that's the second scene in a row where a woman says, "You don't understand how I feel," and a dude says, "Yes, I do." Rogue is fucking useless, so she's gonna go, and no one's even gonna care. So you know where we go?
Where?
Welcome to Sherwood Forest. This is like Magneto and his merry men. Like they're just all out in the woods somewhere.
His little hat and his
For
cape.
some reason, they've all got tents. They're all camping.
So
And
hard to find.
a really good camping spot like this, where you can assemble, like, what would you say, like about 100
Oh, sure. Oh, sure.
mutants who all wearing black and all
Love it.
tattooed up.
Where's your, because they have marks. They don't explore that very much either. Callisto says that to him at the beginning. She says,
Yeah, something about why don't you have a tattoo?
where's your mark? And he's, I don't need one.
Yeah.
And they never talk about that again. And does anybody else have one but her? I didn't pay attention.
The other woman, Arclight, does, I think, and Porcupine Boy. I think all those guys do.
Okay. Porcupine Boy. Does he have, what is his villain
He has
name?
the character's name is Kid Omega,
Oh.
but that's the character in the script. But actually, I read this that the power is actually that character's name, Quill.
Okay.
So they took Quill. They called Miles from Lost. This is why I call him Porcupine Boy. Because screw it. If they wanted us to know what their names are, they should say the name.
They would say them. They would say them.
Yeah. Magneto and Jean are like standing on a hill looking at their merry men. She is now like in dark crimson. She has a mean ass expression on her face. She is not talking.
She's realized what movie she's in.
Here. Yeah. This is my thing is I think it's unclear who this character actually is now. Like, we know it's not Jean. It's not the Jean that we knew. This is somebody else. And I don't feel like they make a good case for, like, this is who this new person is. Like, we don't know what she wants. We don't know what she likes and doesn't like. We don't know how she feels.
Even if they would just say she likes, I mean, it's a bit like the Joker in The Dark Knight, who just wants to watch the world burn. If they would just say that, like, the Phoenix just wants to destroy, but they don't.
But they even that, like, and then why is she?
Then why doesn't she? It'd be so easy.
And just like, and why is she here right now? Like, if she's annoyed by Magneto, and she seems to be, where would you like to be right now, Jean? It's just, it's really hard to say that. Like, we just don't know. So they're deciding whether to close the school or not. And Bobby's saying he has nowhere to go. And then there's Angel all of a sudden walking into the room. This is scene 2 for Angel, basically, of 3, where he says, "I'm sorry, I know this is a bad time. I was told that this was a safe place for mutants." And fucking Beast is like, "It was, son." Yeah, what are you gonna do? But Storm says, "No, it still is. We'll find you a room." So another victory for rich white boys, basically. Walk into any room, and yes, we have a table waiting for you, sir.
They need so much help.
They really do.
So I think Ben Foster is who I decided this was. He's playing this queer, right? Am I wrong? He seems like
I feel like he's not playing this.
Well, his whole directive seems to be soft, like be soft, be soft spoken, like
a little nervous, nervous little angel boy. So they're gonna keep the school open. My question: who's on the faculty now? Because it's just Storm. It's just Storm.
She'll teach all the classes
Wolverine.
about how to control your power.
Yeah.
Do they learn math? Did they get science? Did they get?
In the second movie.
English?
In the first movie in X-Men, there's an amazing thing where Wolverine is meeting Charles for the first time. He walks in on a class, and Xavier dismisses all the students, and then he holds up a book and he says, "Physics." Just so you know.
I always wonder about magic schools. I always wonder about, like, Hogwarts and the school for
what else are they? Yeah, what else are they like teaching? Nothing at all.
Is it like a theater conservatory? Do you get other things?
Here they appear to just talk about evolution and how to deal with your power.
Good.
Which clearly
they need to, obviously.
Yeah, clearly they have not. They're gonna have to look at this.
No one has mastered this skill
all over again, because Cyclops and Jean, Xavier himself is not. It turns out has been misusing shit.
So
Yeah.
is
Those who
Wolverine
can't
a
do
faculty member now? Is he faculty by default? Like everyone else is dead.
I
So
guess, but what is Wolverine going to teach? You,
follicular regeneration.
they're going to need Jones to step up. That's the only thing I could think of.
They're gonna have to force themselves to evolve. That would be interesting if they could like go. He
And
can
develop
like
a new power.
he can turn your computer on and off. He can he's a human alt control delete. That's what he is. When I need my computer to work
Oh, it would
again.
be great actually if he could be an undo button. That would be a power. That's the power I would
Oh
want.
God, they could undo the whole
You
movie.
could just like close, I don't know if how many times you'd be able to like, control Z that, but that would be a great.
Does he blink? He blinks, right?
He blinks. Yeah, he
This is like
blinks
a new
and could
genie.
make
He's
something go back.
basically he's
Yeah.
genie. That's what he is. Okay.
Yeah, Genie, but as a universal remote. So Wolverine is outside. He's looking at Xavier's tombstone, and suddenly he hears Logan, Logan, Logan for no particular reason.
The plot shortcut.
Yeah, little flashes of the Merry Men. So this is a thing that happens with Jean these days, is that she summons these men, and then they arrive, and she doesn't seem pleased to see them at all. So I don't know why she calls them in the first. This might be like kind of like psychic butt dialing, where it's like she doesn't really mean to be calling them, but it happens anyway. So you know what? It's New York. We don't need a cure. We don't need a cure. We don't need a cure. A whole bunch of people
That's like the
who don't need a
it's
cure.
almost like the protesters outside an abortion clinic. Like here's Little Rogue.
Yeah, that is true.
Trying to get an abortion. All
Yeah.
the Christian protesters are like, no, don't do it.
Their sign game is not very good as well. Their signs are like no to the cure and say no to the cure. And they're
Which
just
could be
shouting,
the
we don't need a
band.
cure.
What if they're protesting the band? That's deeply.
Yeah, Robert Smith, he's just going to get more and more depressed. He doesn't need that. He's already there. Just imagine shouting
You're
outside
just
his
making it
concerts.
worse.
We don't need the cure.
What rhymes with cure?
Or
Unsure. We are not unsure. We
Next
don't
door.
need your fucking cure. There. See, I did it. It writes itself. I'm deeply disappointed in these mutants.
I agree. I totally agree. Yeah, there should be like somebody with a sign making talent.
They're just
Slogan boy. Yeah.
So now I picture the costumes for all these things too. They don't have the costumes are not interesting in this.
We don't even see a lot of people with like a little Star Trek, like, weird nose or anything. We don't, they don't make them blue. Yeah. The extras are really just randos.
Well, they had to focus so much on the 10 billion characters they inserted into this plot. We need Porcupine Boy.
Well, here is the big exciting. You and I both enjoyed this scene very much. The Bobby Pyro Top Gun scene.
Oh yes.
Where Bobby is there, he's looking all wounded because he's looking for Rogue, and then here comes Pyro strutting up. Gonna get the cure so you can go back home to mommy and daddy. And he's just he's giving him sass.
I was watching this going, kiss, kiss, kiss.
I know. It's really, there's a lot of energy between them. I really like that for Pyro too. Like Pyro needs that, I think. Bobby's already got like too many girl problems on his hand, but too
many girlfriends.
And it gets very intense. So like Bobby like ices up his hand, and Pyro like flames up his hand. He's like, "Come on, Iceman, make a move." I'm like, "Yes, make your move. Do it.
Please make a move. Please.
That would have suited me right down to the ground." But Bobby walks away. Now that I'm thinking about it, this scene really is, because Bobby walks away, and then Pyro is so mad that he just like lashes out and he throws fire at the clinic, and
blows up the abortion clinic.
Everybody runs away like little cowards.
Oh, this isn't their grand standoff yet, is it? That has to happen later. They have to build up tension.
No, this is just for now. I'm just gonna. Now I would think like there's got to be a mutant there who can cause rain. There's got to be a mutant who can like turn fire into flowers. Mutant extras
girl.
Extras are lame. They are just lame. I can't have with that.
Nobody thought it through very much. They were too busy cramming Dark Phoenix into all of this. You know, I think the review I read at the time was that she just stands around the whole movie until the very end.
Yes, she does. Yeah, she does. Unhappily. Wolverine ends up at Sherwood Forest, and they've got a security system, which is a guy who can grow horrible horns out of his wrists and throw them and snap them off and throw them at you, which is gross. And then he throws them with great accuracy. He's gross. This is a mutant that's gross. I've been asking for more mutants this whole movie, and then one of them comes along, and I'm just like, I
This
don't
is what
know.
they deliver.
Yeah, I don't like this
Your
one.
expectations are set too high, I think.
I
for
think
this.
so. Yeah, I just want more John. So
Blink, blink.
so this guy sees Wolverine, and he's like, "Oh, great! I'm gonna throw horns at this guy." And it's like, dude, no, no, you must have heard of Wolverine. Everyone's heard of Wolverine. You see Wolverine, and you stand the fuck down. You say like, "Oh, I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry. I didn't realize. Sorry, sir. I didn't realize it was you. Don't let me detain you." Like that's how you
We
deal
all
with
know what happened to
Wolverine.
Lady Deathstrike. We all know.
Exactly. Yeah. No, you back away. This is not your moment. And then he just like he does the Wolverine thing of just basically like he charges and he puts his claws through you and you die. And that's how things work with Wolverine.
So he's killing people.
He's killing
Wolverine
people, which
gets
is
to kill
fun.
people.
Yeah, no, he gets killed. That's what we like about him. That's the best thing about Wolverine. I don't have any problem with that. He kills all these annoying people I don't like.
What is separating these two classes of mutants, I guess? What is the bad guys? The bad guys don't care if they kill people, and the good guys will kill people if they have to.
Uh, I don't believe that there's any moral philosophy that separates these people at all. It's basically about manners, I think. Is that like at Xavier's school, they're all very polite.
Mm.
And
Mhm.
here they've got like all the kind of like dirty, like people wearing black leather and stuff. That's basically all it is. So Magneto's making a big speech. He's shouting at his followers. He's surrounded by his little gang of nobodies, including Multiple Man, who has done fuck all so far.
He'll get his moment.
He will. One. Yeah. And he says, like, if any mutant stands in our way, we will use this poison against them. We shall go to Alcatraz Island, take control of the cure, destroy its source. And Jean's making eye contact with Wolverine, and then she just starts like kind of walking around in the forest looking spooky, like sleepwalking Morticia Adams.
This is what I like about June is she's just like, I don't need to be here.
Yeah, I don't care.
This is me at faculty meetings at school. I don't need to be here. I'm just gonna go.
Yeah.
Bye.
And Wolverine comes up and Magneto kind of like punches him up against a tree. And he just says, I want to get Jean and bring her home. And Magneto says, you think I'm keeping her against her will? And it's like, well, I don't know. Actually, I don't know. I don't know what the hell she's doing. Yeah, I don't know what she's doing here. Maybe.
She's over there taking guns apart with her brain.
Yeah. And so Magneto is finally giving us that mutant revolution he has been talking about for 3 goddamn movies now. And whatever remnants of the X-Men we still have floating around, they need to get their shit together and defend Worthington Labs, I guess. And that means this is the end of Act 2 of the politically perplexing movie X-Men The Last Stand. As usual with superhero movies, Act 3 is a complex and nuanced debate about the social issues that this movie has raised. Thank you very much, Laramie. I will see you back here for Act 3 of X-Men The Last Stand on the Superheroes Everyday podcast. Thanks for listening.